Koppel, host of the Time for Coffee podcast, where you get firsthand career advice into the jobs and industries that interest you the most. And before we start today's show, I have a quick favor to ask you. If you haven't already, I'd be incredibly grateful if you give us a rating and a review on iTunes. And if you're like me, you need to do it now because you'll forget later and because it's the best way to help others who may be in search of career advice to find this free resource. So press pause if you haven't done it and do it right now. I'll wait. Thanks so much and enjoy today's show. Hey there, Java Junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career triple shot K-Cup with my guest, Jerry Lee. Tell us about the internship. Was this a summer internship or was it during the school year?
So this Google internship was a 12-week program in the summer where you worked full-time and you were integrated into a team. So the team that I was integrated in was Trust and Safety AdWords, where we specifically focused on how do we use machine learning and AI to find bad actors in the platform. So my internship consisted of 2 main skills that I learned. One is heavy data analytics, really digging through data, trying to find insights there. And the second is really project management. I got the opportunity to work across 3 countries, across 4 teams. And so you needed to make sure your ducks were in line because there were always so many moving pieces.
I want to ask you in a second how you parlayed that internship to get the full-time gig when you graduated. But before I do, can you talk about the letter that you wrote Google that you believe helped you land that internship in the first place?
You know, it's so funny because I wish I had a sexy story. I wish I could say, you know, I reached out to 6 recruiters and I got 3 referrals and the VP knew me. Absolutely nothing. I remember the only thing I submitted was my resume and cover letter. And I believe they asked you a short form question of what is your favorite Google product? And I remember I wrote Google Calendar because I managed my life with it. I wrote that because I was like, I have no chance. At the time, I felt like I had no chance of getting in. And as I look back on it, and as I was talking to the other interns in the cohort, the main thing that people had throughout the 101 schools that were represented in our intern class, 2 things. One, each and every single one of them were leaders on their campus. So they were running their consulting organization, they were running their tech organization, they were running their volunteer organization. And the second and most important thing I found is that every single one of them had spent so much time and effort into their job search strategy, their resume, their interview, their application, so much time spending on it that when you looked at our resume side by side, you'll almost think, wow, these things are sort of identical.
Wow. So you don't think what you put in your letter made a difference?
To be honest, I don't think it did. I think the biggest thing was just my resume.
Okay. The reason I was asking is that you have that as one of your featured items on your LinkedIn page. And when I tried to read it, it's like making me subscribe to Business Insider. And so I wasn't able to read the article. I thought maybe there was something in there. Okay, fair enough. So I think sometimes we don't talk enough about what we do to set ourselves apart while we're in an internship. I am guessing, Jerry, that you went above and beyond during the summer, those 12 weeks that you spent at Google. Can you give us a little window into how you set yourself apart?
There were 3 things that I did very intentionally that I felt like sort of helped me put myself in a better position to get a full-time offer. The first is I from the very beginning, outlined exactly what are my expectations for this role. Is it to just deliver this project? Is it to do other things? Like, what manager, please tell me what the success looked like. And he said, you know what? We're going to have a 12-week project. If you can kill it in that project, you're going to be good. And so I said, cool. Then what I did after that was I created a project plan to say, for me to get to this end goal of this 12-week project, this is what it's going to look like week by week. This is what our check-ins are going to look like. And at these check-ins, I hope to get a lot of your input so that I can make sure I can land that goal.
Who are you talking to?
My manager at the time.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That's right. The second thing that I did was during this 12 weeks, I very intentionally made sure I became acquaintances, if not friends, with everyone on the team. I want to make sure that not only do they believe, yeah, Jerry can do the work, but also he is someone that I could see myself working with, and I would be excited to work with him. So I would set up time to do team lunches, individual lunches. More importantly, one thing that I did was I created a spreadsheet of every person's name on my team. And then every time they said something about themselves that was sort of unique, I would write it down on a spreadsheet so that I would never forget. And I made sure each and every single one of those people, I at least sent them an article, a picture, a recommendation of something that they liked, just as sort of like a courtesy thing, at least once. And the last thing I did was I made sure that I told my intern recruiter, my manager, and my team that I wanted to come back, that I was excited to come back, that the work was exciting. And, it sort of might be, most people might think, well, I'm doing this internship. I mean, it's sort of implied, right? Being as 100% clear that there is no doubt in their mind that I would come back if they gave me that offer is something I did not want them to even have a single question about. So those are the 3 things that I tried to do.
Amazing. And I'm also guessing, Jerry, that if you weren't the first person in the office in the morning, you were one of the first people in and maybe one of the last out, or am I way off base?
I definitely tried to do that. On day 1, I remember I arrived at the office at 7:30 a.m. The average time the team would arrive to the office was 9 a.m. So I was just confused and I was lost and I didn't know what to do for the next hour and a half because it was my first day in the office. So but after that, I said, you know what, I'm going to come in 30 minutes earlier and leave when there are only a couple people left.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Did you really want to work there because you enjoyed the work or just because you had your heart set on Google?
I think 80% of it was a former and 20% of it was a latter. My sort of 5-year master plan at the time was saying, you know what, I'm going to do 2 years of consulting at McKinsey. Then I'm going to go to Harvard Business School and then I'm going to work at Google. And so it was sort of surreal to sort of see, man, well, I sort of skipped the first 2 steps and I could go directly there. So I made sure that the work was interesting for sure. And I want to make sure that career was going to set the foundation for the other roles that I want to go towards in the future, which thankfully it did.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of T4C. And if you're interested in learning more about my coaching services for confused college students and recent grads, feel free to check out the Time for Coffee website under the coaching tab at time4coffee.org or text me at 202-236-5712. That's 202-236-5712.